No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Look, I didn't have space for a full version, okay? Hey, quick personal question. Who's your favourite spy? Okay, more precisely, who's your favourite fictional spy? I mean, there's so many to choose from. You got your James Bond, James Bond, James Bond, James Bond, James Bond, James Bond, and James Bond.
Okay, they're dead, alright? We're not gonna be seeing them again.
Then there's Jack Bauer, Jason Bourne, Jane Blonde, Bondy James. You know what, I'm starting to notice a trend here. Austin Powers, Alex Rider, Jack Ryan, S.H.I.E.L.D., Kingsman, Platypus, Fox, Snake, Guinea Pigs, Cars, the list goes on and on and on and on ad nauseum. But the spy I'm talking about today is just a little bit different to all the others. And this time he isn't Monkey, but he is a lord. The Lord of the Dance. That's right, in 2018, Michael Flatley, the most Irish man to ever be born in the USA and most famously the mind behind Riverdance, decided to broaden his horizons beyond his range of dance shows and tried to tackle that ever so popular genre of movie, the spy thriller. And with the ever so original name, Blackbird. Good thing there weren't any other things released around then with the same name, so it didn't get confused. Yeah. Now honestly, there's really not much information about this film actually floating around out there, even now 5 years after its initial release. Well, sort of. The film initially made its premiere at Raindance Film Festival on London's West End on September 28th, 2018, after apparently being filmed earlier that same year. Again, not sure, I'm just trying to piece together whatever scraps of information I can from wherever I can. However, the film didn't mark its official release until September 2022, a whole 4 years later. Apparently it did actually appear in some UK theatres. Honestly, I didn't even hear anything about the film until months later. Guess it wasn't big name enough for my boring local cinemas. Anyway, yeah, everyone thought the film sucked, and the general media pretty much immediately dismissed it as a vanity project, which is understandable since the film was written by, directed by, produced by, financed by, and yes, also starring Mr. Flatley himself. And if you watch my last video and think this sounds very familiar, then no, you're not the only one, because Brian Lloyd of Entertainment.ie also compared it to Tommy Wiseau's production of The Room. Rest of the cast, there's a few faces scattered around you might recognise from here or there, not really that much in my case, apart from Sir Meryn Trant, and the biggest name in this movie, Mr. Eric Roberts. So at this point, I'm not quite sure that's such a selling point. Dude will do anything that pays nowadays. So not quite the same big name selling power you get in your regular spy blockbuster, but hey, for some people that would be a breath of fresh air in a market that values star power way more than actual movie quality. Only problem here is we apparently have neither. Also, apparently this was co-produced by Roger Moore, probably just using his name to make it seem more legit or something, given there's 4 other co-producers on top of 2 regular producers and the 4 executive producers including Flatley himself. I really doubt he actually had much to do with making this film. Also, he died in 2017. Okay, yeah, never mind, it's a different guy. Now, we're all familiar with the notion of straight-to-DVD films, right? Films that are so low budget that they don't expect them to perform well at the cinema, but they figure they can make a quick buck churning a bunch out and fill in store shelves to try and capitalise on the hype of a recent film or trend or whatever. Like pretty much every one of the Disney sequels, where the drop in quality from the theatrical release is painfully obvious. But have you ever heard of a film performing so badly on the big screen that they don't even bother releasing it on hard copy? Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. Sure, it's available to buy or rent or stream in enough places, but good luck finding a copy to decorate your shelf with a home. And when these platforms decide to take it out of their catalogues, I'm not sure to ever resurface again, and it may well become one of those mysterious movies forever lost to time. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you this time. I know I usually try and do a big deep dive into all the backstory of these films to try and explain what happened, but yeah, I got nothing. Michael Flatley wanted to be an action movie spy, so he made an action movie spy movie. Except he forgot to include most of the action. So, you want to check it out? So before we get into the film itself, straight away you realise this is one of those ones where you're like, Jesus, how many studios worked on this thing? The answer is 5. First up and most notable of the bunch is Dance Lord Pictures, which, shock horror, is Michael Flatley's own studio, which he made just for this film. And to be fair, it has got a pretty sweet logo card thing. Hope you're not looking forward to Blackbird 2 though, since the studio already doesn't exist anymore. Incorporated August 2019 and dissolved February 2023. According to the freely available information on gov.uk, this was a compulsory strike-off, which, quote, tends to be issued on the grounds that the company in question is no longer trading or has failed to conform to legal requirements. So Yeah, that's that then. Then there's the other studios, not really important here, just the most generic names you could think of. West One Entertainment, Five Night Films, Parachute Film Studios, and of course the prestigious Egg Studios. Not much to say about them. West One's British, Five Night's Irish, they've done around 50 films between them. Some seem to be awful, some seem to be pretty good. I've never heard of any of them. Then Parachute is a Caribbean-based studio, specifically with a production centre in Barbados, which is where most of this film takes place, so makes sense. Then Egg Studios, I can't find a damn thing about Egg Studios. There's one in London that's a mobile photography studio. Is it that one? No idea. Anyway, I'm boring myself here, so let's fast forward through the 40 seconds of company logos and then another 20 seconds telling us that yes, the companies did actually work on the film. Oh, by the way, did you know this is Michael Flatley's film? Not sure we mentioned, before we finally get to the opening scene. Okay, no, also fast forward through the 30-second Visit Island commercial, which functions just as well as establishing shots as the room's random shots of San Francisco, and we finally arrive at this absolutely massive stately home, which serves as the house of our protagonist, Blackbird. Well, that's his spy code name. His real name is the even cheesier Victor Blackley, which yes, does sound exactly like what Michael Flatley would use IRL as a fake name. Anyway, don't ask me how he can afford this place. I guess being a spy pays way better than I thought. Or he betrayed his country for a ton of money, which I'm pretty sure someone does in every single spy film, so... But this is a sad day for our dear Blackbird, moping around his big empty mansion, staring at his pet Blackbird, because of course he has a pet Blackbird. You think this film's going to be subtle? And then he has a flashback to a girl half his age. And no, she's not his daughter, she's actually his fiancée. Is it really a spy film if you haven't got the main character hooking up with way younger women? So this is definitely meant to be this touching emotional scene, but I cannot get over Flatley's big old face just staring at this girl. You okay? Oh dear God! Anyway, she's dead now, and today's the day of her funeral, hence Blackbird's big old sad face. So we skip however many hours ahead to the funeral itself, obviously gotta wait for it to start absolutely chucking it down out there, cause how else are we meant to know it's sad? And it's your standard funeral affair, everyone in black, umbrellas everywhere, Irish priest saying some Irish prayer, and then everyone comes and shakes Blackbird's hand and leaves. It is definitely one of the funerals of all time. So this scene gives us our first look at all Blackbird's spy ex-colleagues that will be properly introduced to later, obviously all looking very sad, so look forward to seeing this lady, this man, and Sir Merrintrant himself very soon. Also unrelated, but it looks like Blackbird's burying this girl right there on his lawn, I guess trying to pull a Donald and get a tax break or two. How else is he meant to afford this place? And then he randomly has a flashback to someone tossing a cigar, and yeah, you're gonna get used to that. So everyone else is heading back to the house, and then this last guy comes up to him and says the vaguest thing ever.
You did what you had to do.
Which leads to another flashback, this time of the girl being on fire. While he just lies there and watches her burn. So I'm not sure what the film's trying to do here. I get the impression it's trying to set up some intrigue around what exactly it was that Blackbird did.
You did what you had to do.
Did he do something to save the world, which inadvertently led to her catching fire? Was she secretly a traitor and he had to set fire to her for the greater good? Suffice to say, the film doesn't really pay it off at all. Now, we're going to flash back to this scene so many times as the movie progresses, and while any other film would use this as a storytelling device, like tell her story parallel to the main story and have big revelations come out as we go on, finally piece together the full picture at the perfect moment for maximum impact or whatever, this film doesn't really do that. There's probably like 5 to 10 of these flashbacks in the film, and they're pretty much all identical, growing slightly longer each time, but not really actually showing anything new, just her turning crispy and him watching sadly. So really all these flashbacks actually do is show that he's thinking about her again and feeling sad again, and that's it. They've got no real bearing on the actual story whatsoever. She's basically just his tragic backstory, the plot device which led to him retiring from being a spy and starting fresh somewhere new. Does she have a name? Who knows, not like it matters anyway. We do eventually get a final scene near the end of the film, wrapping up the flashbacks and explaining what actually happened, but it's just so naff. It's obviously meant as this massive emotional revelatory climax which blows everybody's minds, given it happens literally 10 minutes before the end credits, which makes it literally the textbook definition of an anti-climax. Anyway, we'll deal with that when we get there. For now, we gotta finish this funeral scene. So everyone else is inside now, we've got our little spy bestie clique, the chieftains, huddled around talking about how Blackbird was the best spy to have ever spied.
There's no one like him. He's irreplaceable. No one can do what he does.
Even the bartender's a spy, I think.
Chieftains.
What do you think he's going to do next?
Then blonde lady wistfully watches Blackbird through the window, so I guess it's trying to suggest that they were also a thing once. Bit weird deciding to set up a love interest for the guy at his fiance's literal funeral, but whatever. Old guy comes up to her and says some more super vague cliche stuff that doesn't mean anything.
Don't worry, he's one of us.
And then Blackbird ditches everyone inside his nice warm house and instead waddles into the distance in the pouring rain to probably catch hypothermia. Blackbird. Congratulations, we've made it through the opening 5 minutes, and I think all the exposition we're going to need. So now the plot can actually start. So it's a nice round 10 years later now. Honestly, the specific time frame doesn't matter at all. Michael just had to choose a time long enough for all the characters to get where they need to be for the plot to happen. Of course, none of them have aged a day. Let's just assume it's some super secret spy de-aging trick. Or just some godly Irish genes. So if you couldn't tell, we're in London now, which as everyone knows is the home of spying. Can't call yourself a spy film if you haven't got at least one shot of Big Benny Boy or the Houses of Parliament. So it's classic spy stuff, everyone speaking and acting very suspiciously. Basically, there's this very important deal going on tonight where we've got this guy who I think is meant to be a good guy, but who's apparently scared of someone knocking on his door, and he's meant to pass along to his contacts this movie's MacGuffin, which is apparently so important that the guy at the door just slides it under his door when Spy Guy doesn't respond. So this little disc thing is the main focus in this movie, so it stands to reason we only see it like twice. It's basically this thing that was invented as some super medical healing, strengthen the immune system thing, but if it falls into the wrong hands, it could instead be used to kill everyone or something. Have you seen Hobbs and Shaw? Yeah, it's basically that. So Spy Guy snogs a nun, wanders into a dead end, and gets shot in the head. Oh no, not Spy Guy, he was my favourite character for his minute of screen time. Too bad for the bad guys, the nun was also a spy and she passes the disc into some mysterious car, end of scene. So now we're at Blue Moon, a hotel cum bar nightclub thingy somewhere in Barbados. Sure hope you like Mag the Knife because this band knows 3 songs and 2 of them are this.
Wish I had pretty teeth, dear, and he shows it pearly white.
But this ain't your normal Caribbean hotel cum bar nightclub thingy because this one is owned by one Victor Blackley. Blackbird. If you already forgot. Again, no idea what the backstory of the bar is or how the hell Blackbird came to own it. Did he buy it from someone else? Did he buy a plot of land and finance its construction from the ground up and that's why we had to jump forward 10 years? No idea. All we need to know is this place is his now, and it's a very prestigious establishment. We've got royalty.
We expect the Prince of Albania at the end of the week.
We've got the Mafia.
The Mafia also on table 12.
We've got the singer who's madly in love with Blackbird because what young lady could resist a man in his mid-60s with a seemingly endless supply of wealth? And then we've got pretty much all of Blackbird's spy buddies who apparently also came to work for him here, spy and be damned I guess. Well, kinda. Because while Blackbird is fully out of the game and doesn't want anything to do with spying anymore, everyone else is kind of doing this as a side gig, like just if any of their hotel guests are especially dodgy I guess.
You'll be more than comfortable here at the Blue Moon. You're in safe hands. Prepare the Infinity Suite. Will you run a check on this name?
I'd have to call London.
Honestly, it doesn't really make sense, just run with it.
You heard about the incident in London? The lost Libyan death formula.
You think this man is connected?
It is rumored that he is connected with illegal arms dealing. And it just so happens that he is coming here to strike a deal a week after the formula went missing.
Yeah, if you didn't catch that, apparently the MacGuffin disc thing from earlier actually went missing in London, so were Spy Guy and Nun Lady not the good guys then? Were they just other bad guys? Or did it go missing after what we saw? Again, I can't figure it out, so basically just accept that the disc is now in possession of the hotel's newest guest, an arms dealer who completely coincidentally has decided to fly all the way to this spy hotel just to try and sell it. So it's down to Blackbird and the gang to stop him. Or at least it would be if Blackbird actually gave a shit.
What they do with their lives is their business.
Flashback.
Good morning, sir.
So it's the next day now and our arms dealer arrives at the hotel. His name's Blake Molyneux, which is the most stereotypically evil name ever and yet somehow less cool than Eric Roberts. And he's accompanied by his fiancée who turns out to be that lady from the window earlier. So I guess she really has a thing for older men. So they're welcomed by Meryn Trant, Nick, and he and she definitely don't make it painfully obvious at all that they know each other.
Do you know my fiancée?
No? Just a familiar face, that's all. Don't suppose you've ever been to a wee town in Armagh called Lurgan, have you?
No, can't say that I have.
And yeah, she really does talk like Mary Poppins for the whole film.
Where are my manners? You must want to get to your room. Excuse me.
Cut to Blackbird in the local chapel, obviously remembering Dead Girl and feeling sad, but this time they actually chose to show restraint and not add a flashback. Or they just forgot to edit one in. Not much happens here. Priest's like, okay, you want to confess yet?
Is today the day you wish to confess your sins?
And Blackbird's like, no, I will never confess.
There's not enough time in the rest of either of our lives for my confession.
Spoiler alert, he does end up confessing later on in a big character development moment we definitely don't see coming from a mile away.
They are settling into the Infinity Suite as we speak.
Anything further to report?
There were no red flags.
Okay.
So back at the hotel, Blackbird's talking to Matiti. Yeah, he's Matiti. So there's been no red flags yet, which I can only assume means he hasn't blown up his hotel room yet, which is apparently good enough for Blackbird.
No red flags.
Okay, let's let that be the end of it.
Nick tries to tell him about the reappearance of Blonde Lady, but in classic sitcom style, Blackbird is far too busy with the conversation he just finished to listen to him.
Victor,
Sorry, Nick, can it wait a minute?
I think you're going to want to hear this.
Whatever it is, I'm sure you can handle it.
So anyway, Blackbird immediately spots her and stares at her for literally 20 seconds while Blake's security guy is like, okay, what the f*** is this guy doing? Doesn't he know she's already gone, old man? Before following Blonde, okay, whatever. Her name's Vivian, I'm not calling her Blonde Lady the whole way through. Before following Vivian to her sunbathing session on the beach and staring angrily at her. And if you couldn't tell, Michael decided to make her the dumb blonde eye candy in this film, despite the fact she is or used to be a spy. Kinda think you gotta be smart for that. I don't think anyone in this movie is too smart though, since meanwhile in his hotel room, Blake and his bad guy buyers have a whole conversation about their dodgy deal via the hotel landline.
You have an incoming call. Should I put them through?
Yes.
Very good, sir.
Hello, Ahmed?
He wants to know when I can come and retrieve the package.
Come in 2 days, we'll discuss it then. Just make sure you transfer the money, Slick.
Sure hope nobody's listening into that call since they're keeping an eye on him and that's like espionage 101. Oh, they're not? Why am I not surprised?
Vivian,
Victor.
you're a sight for sore eyes.
So Vic and Viv bump into each other again and have a little chat, you know, right in front of the guy who's already suspicious as hell of them.
Must you always follow me?
And I swear I'm not exaggerating when I say every scene with her talking feels less like a spy film and more like something by Jane Austen.
I had no idea.
It's good to see you, Viv.
No one has seen you for years. We feared you were dead.
I'm sure that's probably how the actress actually talks, but it just always takes me right out of it. So you might be thinking, oh okay, this is a spy lady, she's engaged to this big arms dealing pensioner, so she's obviously undercover digging up dirt on him and the whole dumb blonde thing is just an act. Nope, she's just in love and blissfully unaware of his obvious criminal stuff.
You here for the agency?
I'm here with my fiancé. I'm getting married. Oh, say hi to Nick for me. We didn't get a chance to talk properly earlier.
You saw Vivian then?
Some morning would be nice.
I believe your exact words were, whatever it is, I'm sure you can handle it.
And?
I'm handling it.
Okay, this next part I don't have any jokes for, but you've gotta watch it. It's just a pure showcase of linguistic artistry, a beautiful combination of the perfect words masterfully intertwined to demonstrate just how articulate Blackbird is. Take a look.
That big guy's got trouble written all over him.
He's a big unit.
Magnifico. Cut to Viv and Blake and she's like, come on man, why do I always have to have the weird starey guy always following me? And Blake's like, well he's there to protect you since arms dealing is a pretty dangerous game. I mean what? I'm not an arms dealer, I have a totally legit profession.
Do I need protection?
In my line of work, you can never be too sure, darling.
And somehow this still doesn't make Viv suspicious at all. But then someone comes and whispers in his ear and that makes her mighty suspicious. Naked Michael Flatley. This isn't connected to the plot at all.
Sir, it's Kaz. I need you to run a check on Blake Molyneux.
Wait, how is she only just running a background check on him now? Hasn't it been literally a full day since she was asked to? Jeez, you really can't get the staff, can you?
Blake Molyneux?
Sir?
I'm thinking. Blake Molyneux. I know him. He's extremely dangerous.
So yeah, boss guy's like, oh shit, yeah, that guy's like super evil, like so evil I have to stop to remember how evil he is. Well, we gotta get Blackbird back in the game for this. It'll be therapeutic and a good character development moment.
We must get Victor involved. This will help him as much as it will help us.
Over at the bar, Blake and Viv have arrived for dinner while Vic and Nick are watching them again. Too bad we don't have someone called Niv to complete the group. So Nick's telling Blackbird about how they've run the background checks on Blake and he's all clean, so that's great.
We're checking this guy out, clean as a whistle.
Even though we just... whatever.
He feeds the hungry, houses the poor. Perfect role model for society. Nobody's that good.
So they're both kind of suspicious, but Blackbird's like, they're only here a few days, let's just leave them alone.
Let them be about their business. They only plan to stay a few days.
And then immediately drags Viv away from Blake to dance with her, which is definitely an interesting way of staying incognito. And they're practically snogging right there on Blake's lap, but he doesn't seem to care at all, to be fair. So I guess that worked out fine.
We said it!
What did he say?
Oh wait, never mind, he's suspicious now. I'm shocked.
Just in from London.
Notice anything in particular?
Well, I think it's immediately apparent they all have the same ring.
The ring is a symbol representing a secret society of war criminals called the Crusading Revolution, an organisation assumed to be a myth.
Yep, nothing says mythical secret society more than openly wearing a ring that marks you as a member. Wait, no, they actually do that, don't they? Wild. But this is some big evil arms dealer terrorist secret society, so... yeah, maybe don't advertise it.
We know he's here selling arms to war criminals in Africa. There has to be a bigger plan.
Anyway, yeah, this is the big briefing scene where Blackbird finally gets told about how evil Blake is and how deadly that disc thing he has is.
When ingested, the formula repairs and strengthens the immune system. A world without pain or disease. However, alter one component and it has the opposite effect. Complete immunity breakdown. Filtered into the water system of a village, town, or city, it can decimate the local population. It's called ridding the world of so-called undesirables.
What's your point, Nick?
This is somehow still not enough to convince him that he should do something about it, and so he storms off. Cut back to the second lovers tiff between Viv and Blake this movie because she's mad he's focusing more on his business than her.
I've come here so we can spend some time
Oh, I can't believe you've done this.
And then she storms off.
It's like poetry, it's sort of they rhyme.
So Blackbird's moping in his room again now and has a very rare flashback where Dead Girl actually isn't on fire for once, so that's nice. Then Singer Girl shows up and tries to seduce him, but he's just far too sad for something like that right now, so he silently redresses her and marches her to the door. What a heartbreaker.
I don't understand.
I don't care.
And then he has a flashback to Burning Girl, so obviously he's really sad now. Next morning, Viv's still mad at Blake and totally blanking him, while Vic's still mad at Nick and they're arguing about his refusal to help still.
We moved away to forget our past, not to fall right back into it. What don't you understand about that?
Vic gets a new hat from the Hag Girl, Nick storms off, and Viv jumps in Vic's car and they drive off just in time to avoid being spotted by Mr. Big Scary Guy. So instead he goes to join Blake on his yacht again to listen to his tech guy say loads of tech stuff because this is a spy film, gotta have a tech guy.
I'm trying to handle all of your assets and dilute them into capital to send to thousands of different offshore accounts. I have to act fast before the banks suspect foul play and lock us out. I have exactly 2 minutes.
Tech Guy explains how Blake hasn't been paid yet for the deal they haven't done yet, which I'd have thought was basic business, yet this is apparently surprising to him.
I thought you knew that.
How would I know that? You are my banker.
So Starey Guy throws Tech Guy off the boat. Some random guy comes up and's like, yo, that's not cool, you can't throw people off the boat. So Starey Guy kills him and throws him off the boat. So that's cool, showing how big and strong and deadly this guy is before we get to see the full extent of his power in the inevitable fight scene later.
So why Blake? How did you meet?
So now we get the full backstory on how Viv and Blake ended up together. Turns out it is kinda how I mentioned earlier.
The agency partnered with his corporation on a mission 5 years ago. My chief in command asked me to keep a record on Blake, spy on him.
But then she was pretty much like, oh, I'm sad now and the agency sucks now and he's probably fine, so how about I marry him and become a housewife? That sounds perfect.
Victor, I was tired. When you and Nick left, things got ugly at the agency. I just wanted to get out.
Then they start talking about Dead Girl again. Viv's like, oh, by the way, sorry for your loss, Lo. I think I forgot to say at the funeral 10 years ago.
I never told you all those years ago. I truly am sorry for your loss.
And then Blackbird gives some more vague backstory that doesn't really add much. So Dead Girl was a spy for the same agency, I think. Honestly, I'm not sure if they actually said that or if I'm just making it up, but it's in my head that she was. And they ended up falling in love and getting engaged, keeping it secret because that was apparently safer for her.
I think if anybody found out we were engaged, It would become incredibly dangerous for her.
People ended up finding out about it, and that somehow led to her getting abducted and set on fire. Also, she apparently wasn't meant to be there wherever there is, so I don't know why she was, and I don't think it's ever explained. Seriously, it's so inconsequential to the plot, the details really don't matter. His fiancée was kidnapped and burned alive, and that's all you need to know, which is pretty much all we've known from the start, apart from the kidnap part, so whatever. I'm spending too long on this, so I'm moving on.
It's getting late. We better be getting back.
So they arrive back at the hotel in the pitch black night, so I guess they were walking on that beach for one hell of a long time.
Go on, enjoy your night.
Nick catches up to Viv and's like, okay, you do realise your fiancé is like super evil, right? And Viv's like,
It's not true. That's impossible.
You're wrong. He's a good person.
Oh, come on, darling. You know I'm talking sense.
You're wrong.
Nick!
then Vic storms in and kicks Nick out.
Get out. Get out!
Up in Viv's room, she finds Blake's evil briefcase on the bed, but obviously it's got a number lock on it, so she can't just... Okay, so she opens it up, finds the disc, and leaves the suitcase unlocked while she goes to sit and stare at the disc. But then Blake teleports into the room and starts acting super evil and threatening, so I guess the jig's up, he's gonna kill her now.
Vivian. My lovely, lovely Vivian. Quan told me you ran off today.
No, he just asks her not to ditch Starey Guy again.
You must learn to be nice to Quan. He's only here for your protection. Baby, what's the matter?
Oh babe, what's up? Did me acting like I was about to murder you scare you or something? You so silly. So Blake heads back to the shower I'm pretty sure he just came from, and Viv stealthily shuts the briefcase, then makes a very flimsy excuse to escape.
I'm going to get some water.
Obviously she's trying to find Blackbird to tell him what she found, so she asks Singer Girl where he is, and Singer Girl f***ing hates her guts.
Why do you need Victor? Sorry, I have to prepare for my act.
But she does eventually send her towards him. And we get the whole routine, showing him the disc, going, how could I be so foolish?
Can't believe I was going to marry him. All the signs were right there.
And pleading with him to do something.
We have to do something about this.
Vivian, you know I can't get involved in this.
And this still isn't enough to convince Blackbird to help.
It can kill millions of people.
Please take it.
No.
What? Is this what people want to see in their spy films? The spy refusing to be a spy? Like, I'm all for the trope of someone being reluctantly dragged back into the game and having to use all of their amazing skills from their past life to get revenge or save the world or whatever. Or your Takens or John Wicks, you know what I mean. Skilled guys just going ham on bad guys who didn't know who they were dealing with. I love it. But we're almost 2/3 of the way through this film now, and all we've seen Blackbird do is refuse to do anything because he's too busy moping over a girl who died 10 years ago. Anyway, they snog for like a full 20 seconds, jealous Singer Girl sees it and runs straight to go tell Blake.
Where's your fiancé?
This leads to Blake confronting Viv in their room.
Do you think I'm a bad guy?
Duh.
And he ambiguously does or doesn't kill her before heading to the restaurant to talk to his client.
I am sorry, I am late. I had some business to take care of.
Yes, they're having this arms deal talk right here in the hotel restaurant. This really shouldn't be surprising by now. So Blake's like, no, actually, you suck. Why haven't you paid me yet? Good job, you blew it. I'm only going to do business with your boss now, so go find him, and this deal might actually happen.
Otherwise, I will take it to somebody who will show me more respect.
Meanwhile, Blackbird's given Matiti the disc to get copied apparently, and Nick's decided to be homeless now, so I guess he lived at the hotel and is too stubborn to go back. He has his own flashback to the girl being taken, which shows nothing except that he got knocked over.
I'm sorry.
Totally worthwhile.
Victor Blackley. I'm Victor Blackley.
Back at the hotel, Blake calmly confronts Blackbird like, I know you got my disc, bro.
I believe you have something of mine.
And Vic's like, yeah, I do, lol, but you ain't getting it back, Saws.
Maybe I do, but was it yours in the first place?
So Blake's like, bummer, hey, this is a spy film, you want to play some poker?
Aces are high. The blind is $2,000.
They play the poker, which is just an excuse for them to spray exposition at each other for 2 minutes about how they know everything about each other.
You can tell a lot about a man by the way he plays his cards.
Well, I can tell by the way you hold your cards, you're a very neat man. And the pressure with which you apply to your cards, I can tell not very trusting. And I would incline to comment on the cleanliness of your attire and the smell. The smell of the fresh polish.
All the above does rather beg a question of the nature of your vocation.
Since you're so keen on telling me what you can observe, you clearly wish to be seen as intelligent.
I have a habit of being disappointing.
Singer Girl comes up to Matiti and whispers something probably along the lines of, whoops, I f***ed up, Viv probably needs saving now, she's not dead already. So Matiti heads up to her room to save her and is pretty much immediately executed by Starey Guy. So that sucks, seemed like a cool guy, probably be more impactful if he'd had more than like 2 minutes of screen time and 5 lines of dialogue, but whatever. It's a far sadder death than Bernie Girl anyway. Blake tries riling Blackbird up with more exposition, but of course Blackbird wins the poker and is immediately called away to find Matiti's artistically positioned corpse. See, Starey Guy isn't all muscle and eyes. Too bad he was too busy doing that to pat him down and find the discs on him.
Juan, get the formula and meet me at the shipyard.
Oh, now you tell him to get the disc. Back in the bar, everyone's sad now. Singer Girl comes up and she's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of my fault. And Blackbird's all, oh yeah, I know, but whatever, it's fine, no hard feelings, babe.
It's okay, Maddie. It's okay.
Blackbird! Oh, hell yeah, here we go. The long-awaited matchup. Blackbird versus the hench evil murdery Starey Guy. This is gonna be good. So Blackbird punches him a few times and he dies. Then Blackbird goes to the beach to drink and be sad, has a very slow flashback to him dancing with Dead Girl, and then some very fast flashbacks to random scenes from the main story. Got a shoehorn in a quick flash of naked Singer Girl from earlier, of course, and he eventually wakes up next morning on the sand. And he heads straight from there to church so he can give his big healing confession flashback scene I mentioned earlier. So, you ready to know what really happened with Bernie Girl? Well, let me tell you. Bad guys take her from her camp, pour fuel on her, Blackbird hears her struggle so heads off to find her, Cigar Flick sets her on fire, Blackbird comes in, single-handedly takes out all of the bad guys but gets shot in the leg and falls down, then lies there watching her burn alive for way too long before finally putting her out of her misery. And that's the big reveal all the flashbacks have been leading up to. That he killed the bad guys and then shot her so she didn't suffer the slow painful burning to death. That was definitely worth all the build-up, right? Yeah, didn't think so. But at least Blackbird's back, baby, for the 10 minutes left of this film. So Singer Girl runs in, no idea how she found him, but whatever. And she's like, come on, man, time to be the hero.
They told Tony, you must give them back what is theirs, or you'll never see her again.
He arrives at the deal and Blake tells his henchmen to get the disc off him. Haha, definitely don't kill him, nudge nudge wink wink.
Don't just stand there, find out where it is. Now you gotta find out what a broken heart really feels like.
And Blackbird absolutely goes to town on these guys, delivering a bunch of killer blows before finishing off with some perfect gunplay. Obviously we don't actually get to see any of that, they all just happen to walk off camera right before.
Well.
Your time is up, my time is now. You can't see me, my time is now.
Underestimating him. He's the Blackbird, you fool.
Shut up. Let her go.
What did you say?
I said let her go. I'm not going to say it again.
So they let Viv go, Nick comes back, Vic gives the bad guy boss the definitely real disc.
If this is not what you say it is, I will be hunting blackbirds in the spring. Don't make any promises you won't keep.
Bad guy boss brings his bad guys away with him, and then Vic and Nick kill Blake and all his henchmen off screen, because of course they do. Why would we give any villain in this a satisfying death?
Shall we dance?
Flashback Sky, Mac the knife, the good guys are fine, the bad guys are mad, the real disc goes to the old spy guy.
Blackbird, you little beauty.
Old guy says some more vague cliche spy stuff.
The world may never know what any of us do from within the shadows.
Blackbird's back at his mansion mourning a dead girl yet again. Oh hey look, her name was Grace. But I'm not going back and re-recording all that. And then his new mail order girlfriend gets delivered. And credits. So, yeah, that was the film. So, was that actually a spy film? It didn't feel much like a spy film. Sure, there were spies in it, and bad guys, so I guess technically? What does Google class it as? Oh, a romance. Was it a romance film? It didn't feel like a romance film either. Well, That's that then. I think we can all agree was a film at least. A series of moving pictures usually shown in a cinema or on television and often telling a story. Yeah, that works. Honestly, to give it its due, I actually think it looks really good. Like in terms of camera work and lighting and set design, I think it all looks really professional. I've got no idea what they used for the hotel, if they straight up just hired a real hotel to film in, or if they were specially built sets or what, but honestly it is the sort of stuff I'd expect to see in a real film. No idea what the budget was, but I feel like Michael must have spent quite the pretty penny. The acting, yeah, it's not the best, it's pretty hammy, but that makes it kind of fun. But no, the real issue with the film is definitely the writing. And I mean, who's surprised about that? Michael's a dancer, not a screenwriter. I think the whole point of the strike going on at the moment is to show how important real writers are, and this definitely helps that cause. But I mean, hey, the more I watched it for this video, the more it kind of grew on me. Is it a good film? No, but it's got a kind of earnest warmth to it. I could bring you some cocoa and tuck you in bed and give you a little kiss on your forehead. So that's nice. What the hell am I even saying? If you like this video, you know what I'm going to ask you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell. Hey, maybe send this video to someone you think might enjoy it. Because my god, the algorithm does not want to show these videos to people. So, you know, be pretty cool if you did that. Meanwhile, I have just had my newest mission come in, so I am going to have to head off and do that. So, ciao.
What did you say? I said I'm not going to say it again. What?